It is 4:45 in the morning. The room is completely dark and the world outside is silent. Then the alarm begins to ring. You open your eyes and stare at the clock. For a moment, nothing moves. Then a familiar voice whispers, "Stay in bed. You can start tomorrow." Another voice answers quietly, "You promised yourself." No one else hears the conversation. No one else sees the battle. But in this moment, something important is being decided. You close your eyes for a few seconds, hoping the decision will disappear. The bed feels warm. The room feels cold. Comfort has a convincing argument, and it doesn't sound unreasonable. You're tired. You deserve rest. One morning won't matter. But somewhere deeper, another voice reminds you of the person you said you wanted to become. The battle isn't between good and evil. It's between who you are today and who you keep promising to become tomorrow. Every person carries a battlefield nobody else can see. It appears when the alarm rings, when the workout becomes difficult, when the work feels exhausting, and when the dream seems farther away than expected. There are no soldiers marching across a field, no weapons, and no applause. Yet the outcome can determine the direction of an entire life. The most important victories are often won in moments so ordinary that nobody even knows they happened. One voice wants comfort. It remembers every excuse that worked before. It knows exactly when you're tired, exactly when you're discouraged, and exactly what words will make quitting sound reasonable. The other voice is quieter. It doesn't promise an easier life. It simply reminds you of your purpose. It says, "Keep going." And because it doesn't shout, you may mistake it for weakness. But sometimes the strongest voice in your mind is the one that speaks without fear. The blacksmith understood this battle better than anyone. He knew that steel could never become strong without resistance. Every strike of the hammer forced the metal to choose what it would become. Your choices work the same way. Every difficult decision is another strike shaping your character. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you strengthen one version of yourself. Every time you surrender, you strengthen the other. The battle continues with every choice. You may think discipline means becoming someone who never feels tired, afraid, distracted, or unmotivated. It doesn't. The disciplined person feels all of those things. The difference is what happens next. They feel the resistance and move anyway. They hear the excuse and continue anyway. They experience doubt and act anyway. Courage isn't the absence of the voice telling you to stop. Courage is hearing that voice and deciding it doesn't get the final word. The alarm is still ringing. The room is still cold. Nothing outside has changed. The only thing that has changed is the decision inside your mind. You push the blanket aside and place your feet on the floor. It is a small movement, almost meaningless to anyone watching. But you know what just happened. You won the first battle of the day, and somewhere inside you, the stronger version of yourself just became a little stronger. The first battle may last only a few seconds, but the consequences can follow you for years. Every time you choose discipline, you teach your mind that your purpose matters more than your temporary feelings. Every time you surrender, you teach it the opposite. One decision will not define you, but repeated decisions will. Character is not created by what you intend to do. It is created by what you repeatedly choose when nobody is forcing you to choose. There will be days when the disciplined voice feels almost impossible to hear. You will be exhausted. You will question whether the effort is worth it. You will look at people living easier lives and wonder why you are making things so difficult. But remember this: you are not choosing between comfort and pain. You are choosing between two kinds of pain. The pain of discipline is temporary. The pain of regret can follow you for years. The battlefield changes with every season of life. Sometimes the enemy is laziness. Sometimes it is fear. Sometimes it is distraction. Sometimes it is the temptation to compare your journey with someone else's. You may defeat one voice only to discover another waiting behind it. This is why discipline can never be treated as a single victory. It is a relationship with yourself, renewed every morning through the choices you make. Think about the person you want to become. See them clearly. They wake with purpose. They keep their promises. They don't need someone standing behind them to make them act. They have learned to move even when motivation disappears. That person is not living in some distant future. They are being created inside every difficult decision you make today. Your future identity is being shaped by the battles you are willing to win right now. The forge grows hotter when the metal begins to resist the hammer. That resistance is not a sign that the process is failing. It is proof that the work matters. Your resistance works the same way. When your mind says, "I don't feel like doing this," don't immediately assume something is wrong. Sometimes resistance simply means you've reached the place where growth begins. The uncomfortable moment may be the very moment that shapes you. You don't need to defeat every weakness tonight. You don't need to become the strongest person in the room. You only need to win the next decision. Get out of bed, finish the task, take the walk, open the book, make the call, put down the distraction. Each victory may look insignificant from the outside, but inside you, something powerful is happening. You are teaching yourself that your decisions are stronger than your impulses. Eventually, something begins to change. The voice that once controlled you starts losing its authority. The excuses become easier to recognize. The distractions become less attractive. The difficult choices still feel difficult, but you no longer fear them. You have learned that discomfort is not a command to stop. It is simply a feeling passing through you. And for the first time, you understand that you don't have to obey everything your mind tells you. There will always be another morning when the alarm rings and comfort whispers your name. There will always be another difficult task, another distraction, another moment when quitting feels easier than continuing. That doesn't mean you failed. It means you're human. The war doesn't disappear because you became disciplined. You simply become better at recognizing the battlefield, choosing your weapon, and remembering why you entered it in the first place. Your weapon is not anger. It is not pressure, fear, or punishment. Your weapon is a decision. A quiet decision made when nobody is watching. The decision to stand when you could remain seated. The decision to continue when stopping would be easier. The decision to keep your word when breaking it would bring temporary relief. Every time you make that decision, the invisible battle becomes another opportunity to forge the person you are becoming. Imagine the same room where this chapter began. It is still 4:45 in the morning. The alarm rings again. The bed is warm. The world outside is dark, but this time you don't negotiate with the voice asking you to stay. You sit up before the conversation becomes an argument. Your feet touch the floor. You stand. Nothing dramatic happens. No music plays. No one applauds. Yet inside that silent room, another victory has been won. One day, the two voices will still speak, but something will be different. The voice of comfort may still whisper, but you won't feel obligated to answer. The voice of purpose may still be quiet, but you will recognize it instantly. You will know which one leads toward the person you want to become. That is maturity. That is discipline. Not the absence of temptation, but the ability to choose wisely while temptation is standing directly in front of you. The blacksmith watches as the final sparks rise from the forge. He knows the lesson was never about defeating the weaker voice forever. It was about strengthening the stronger one until it could lead. Every strike of the hammer represented a choice. Every flame represented resistance. Every piece of steel represented potential. And now you understand the truth. The person you become tomorrow is being forged by the decisions you make in moments that nobody else will ever see. The blacksmith watches as the final sparks rise from the forge. He knows the lesson was never about defeating the weaker voice forever. It was about strengthening the stronger one until it could lead. Every strike of the hammer represented a choice. Every flame represented resistance. Every piece of steel represented potential. And now you understand the truth. The person you become tomorrow is being forged by the decisions you make in moments that nobody else will ever see. The first light of morning begins to appear. You walk away from the fire, carrying something nobody else can see. Not a trophy, not a medal, something greater. The knowledge that you can choose who you become. Tomorrow, the battle will return. Let it come. You know how to fight it now. Because the war nobody sees is the war that decides everything. Keep forging. Your story isn't finished.